How do England go about beating France in the Six Nations this weekend? And is selection a part of that? Do you change the team? Which is always a big talking point, in particular off the back of a defeat like England had against Ireland on the opening weekend. So that's what I'm going to talk about in the video. Are England going to change? I'm expecting the team to be announced tomorrow. They did go early last week, so you never know, could be out later today. And what are the big selection dilemmas facing Steve Borthwick if we are to see changes? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Alfie. Have your say in the comments whether you would change the team, who you would like to see come in and why. And also, whilst you're here, like the video and make sure you're subscribed. So does he shuffle his pack? I think we'll probably see a few changes, but one of the massive things for Steve Borthwick as England head coach has been continuity. He wants to give players time playing together. He thinks that the system in England, with players coming in from multiple different clubs, playing different styles, you give them a better opportunity to be successful if you give them time playing together and you build continuity and you build combinations. And he also, I think, believes that it takes away a certain anxiety of whether you're going to be selected or not. It makes you feel more settled in the camp. If guys are more comfortable, it gets more out of them. I think that is the part of the general feeling for his selection approach. But are they going to make changes? Because there are a few things that are worth discussing. I'll get on to fly half and fullback and the back row, but starting off, Caden Murley is out from what I've seen. Certainly a major doubt anyway. Foot injury is what we've been told after the match against Ireland. I think there would have been question marks over Murley anyway. But if he is out, what do England do in their back three? What do they do on the wing and who do they bring in? Is it a straight shootout between Tom Roebuck and Ollie Slightholme? In which case, Roebuck has pace. He doesn't have elite pace, but he is a quick guy. He gives you height and is really good in the air. And given that England might view the aerial game as being pretty pivotal against the French to trying to win territory, he could be someone that they look at as a good option to come in. Or do you go with Slightholme, who I actually don't know the speeds of them. I think Slightholme is quicker, who I think is a quicker option. He's a shorter option, has looked decent in the couple of England games he's had. He scored a couple of tries in the autumn, and he might give you a little bit more, a different threat to Roebuck. I feel it's a hard one I find to kind of pick apart here, because by saying does Slightholme give you more threat and attack, I'm not saying that Roebuck isn't a really good attacker. We've seen that for Sale, but is he just a bit more explosive maybe than a Roebuck? And are those your kind of options if you're looking at changing one of your wingers? Do you go for one of those guys? Elliot Daly is also there, I should probably mention. I think if we're going to see him, it's more likely to be the 23 shirt on the bench, just because he's that Swiss Army knife that gives you loads of different options. The other possibility here, though, is we don't see Roebuck or Slightholme, and England change up their back three in a different way, which I think is going to be the most controversial part of this. I think there's a possibility that they move Marcus Smith to fullback. Finn Smith plays fly half. Smith goes to fullback, and you maybe even keep Freddie Stewart as a winger, and then you've still got his aerial game, how good he is in terms of the kicking game. What do you guys make of the Marcus at fullback? Not even really an experiment anymore. We've seen it multiple occasions. So I think the theory here, and if they do go with him against France, is that France kick long. They don't kick to compete as much as most other teams. They tend to hoof the ball down the pitch, and then they hope for a mistake, or you cough up possession, or you give it back to them, and that gives them field position. So therefore, if you select Marcus at fullback, he'll give you a more attacking threat than Freddie Stewart. We know what Freddie Stewart does well. He has also added to his game, I think, over the last year or so. But he's not as explosive an attacker, and he can be exposed defensively. If France are going to kick long and not to compete, therefore, is Marcus Smith a good option because he'll have more time to run it back at them. Plus, obviously, he can do the kicking game and that element of it as well if you're looking to return fire. And Finn Smith comes in, who possibly, is he more of a game-controlling fly half than a Marcus Smith? I'm not totally convinced by the calls that Marcus Smith shouldn't be the fly half. I think he's been one of England's best players in recent games, despite the fact that they've been losing. Does his control of a game need to improve at international level? Yes, maybe, but he gives you such an X factor with ball in hand and in an attacking sense that I'd still stick with him for the time being. But that could be a way of having Finn Smith for your control of the game at fly half and what Marcus brings in attack at fullback. I'll be honest, I don't necessarily see Marcus as a fullback either, but to float the idea, what do you make of it? Personally, I'd stick with Marcus at fly half in all honesty, and I think I'd probably bring in Slight home, keep Stewart at fullback. Fullback actually is a funny one because if Furbank's not there, it's Furbank or Stewart, right? Really, it feels like. And I do think not having Furbank is a big blow for this England team and the way that they want to play. As I say, I know the strengths of Freddie Stewart. It's been exposed defensively a couple of times, I think, in the last few games. Against South Africa, all right, there aren't many people that would be able to stop a Grant Williams when he's cutting through, but Gibson Park on the weekend, yeah, we'll see. The final area of the team that I was going to speak about in this video is the back row. So Tom Curry, Ben Earl against Ireland. I actually thought they did really well. Like both Curry boys, they might not be 6'5", but they pack a punch and were so physical. England's defence was excellent in the first half in particular, not so much in the second, but I thought they both had a really good game. So if you stuck with both of them, I wouldn't hate it by any stretch, but I just feel like England might make a change here, whether they will go for some more size in terms of height, another line-out option in their back row, in which case there's Ollie Chesham going to come in. Chesham comes in at 6, you could then stick with Tom Curry, maybe stick with Earl, or do you go for the full-size back row and have the more dynamic options coming off the bench, in which case will we see Ollie Chesham, Tom Willis at 8 maybe with a Tom Curry, and then you can have Ben Earl coming off the bench, Ben Curry, Chandler Cunningham South, something like that. Potentially, I think, could be an option for England. Because that has been a problem, hasn't it? The bench and lack of impact from the England bench continues to be a problem. It's not just the bench, I think it is the whole team at that moment in time. But if you had Earl plus Cunningham South and a Ben Curry, bit more dynamic rather than just muscle coming off the bench. Could that help you out? All sorts of questions here for England, but will they make changes for the game against France? We're expecting the team to be announced tomorrow. What is that team going to look like? Does Borthwick stick with his continuity that we see him do? And I think can all probably understand the reasons for it. It makes a lot of sense. Or has it hit a point now with only 2 wins in 9? Those 7 defeats coming against top 6 nations or rugby championship teams, is it time for a change? And in which case, is it Marcus Smith at fullback? Is there a change in the back row? Does he shift up that back 3 with Murley being out as well? Or is it somewhere else in the team as well? Let me know. I haven't mentioned the centres here because I just don't feel like he's going to change them. I don't feel like England necessarily have the obvious options there. I know there will be some people saying it should be Dingwall, or Quins fans saying Oscar Beard could come in and do a job, or whatever different combinations it could be. At the moment, I don't see England changing from Ollie Lawrence and Henry Slade. What should they do? What will they do? Let me know in the comments. Like the video as well, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.